It was magic. It's like, you will be lost. Don't try to Google it. Oh, that was the alligator. Hello everybody and welcome to our channel. My name is Lola and here we're talking about the language learning process. Specifically English language, but it will apply to any other language. And in this video I'll tell you 10 tips on how to learn English fast. Disclaimer. I'm not a language teacher, not a linguist. Are you still here? Well, good. Also, I didn't grow up knowing English. I grew up in a country with different language, and my biggest progress with English happened in my late 20s. So it's never late to start. But that makes me a very interesting subject for you, because some of my experience will help you on your English learning journey. And if not, just search for things that will help you. So I'm not perfect, neither I want you to try to be perfect. We're here to have fun and share some knowledge. Let's go. Tip number 1, very important, know your why. Why do you want to learn English? What's your goal? Like, why do you need it for? It's very important to understand where you're going, what's your destination, because if you don't know why, you don't know if you got it yet or not. You will be lost and you will be in the process of learning and never actually reaching your final destination, like knowing English. I'll make it easier for you. Right now, answer a question. Why do I want to know English? And I want you to write down this sentence. You can leave it below if it's something very personal, write down in your notes, because you'll be coming back to this statement. This statement will motivate you when you will feel lost and you will feel that you're not making any progress. So you need it. There are 2 types of English learners. First type, the one who needs to learn English. He needs it or she needs it because she lives in English-speaking environment, or she wants to get this job, or she's going to apply to university and she needs this level of English. She needs it. Another type of learner who wants to know English. Do you see? When we want something, we kind of want it, but we kind of don't have the necessity. We don't have the right motivation that will help us to move forward. For example, I'll give you an example. I want to know French, so I don't really do much. Like I'm an occasional learner, so sometimes I learn a couple words, couple phrases, like listen to a song, but I don't get much progress. If it's just a random want without a clear goal, you will lack motivation and you will be lost and you will slow down and will never learn it. So have your clear need. I need to learn English because yada yada yada. Myself, I needed to learn English because I wanted to be able to talk to my scene partner when I was studying acting in American-speaking environment. I had this urgency, so all other tools that I created for myself, that I learned to use, they came as a necessity. I needed them. And that brings us to the second tip. Enter through your passion. It's easy to get bored, to get overwhelmed, to get uninspired when it's a lot of grammar and words and all this weird stuff that we need to learn that doesn't really have to do anything with us. Kind of, this ideal mythical goal we have and bunch of stuff to learn. Too far. So we need to come through our passion door, or the door of our passion. I just came up with this term, so don't try to Google it. It's like a door to your passion, like something that you want, like you want it, you love it. For example, in my case, it was acting, method acting. I loved it so much. I loved the scenes, the plays, the movies, actors, like that's how I approached my learning process. So find your passion, whatever it is. Passion, maybe it's fashion. I don't know, what was that? So maybe it's fashion, maybe it's finance, maybe it's interior design. Something that you would naturally search on internet, especially when browsing social media. And find these points of your passion. For example, English speaking podcast on your favorite topic, sitcom, a movie, your favorite singer, or your favorite actor or actress. You can watch interviews on the subject that you're naturally interested in. Then you won't get bored and you would naturally help yourself to immerse into the language you're learning. That brings me to the third very important tip: immersion. You gotta immerse yourself. 4 years ago, I made a video on how to learn English when I was starting my blog on Instagram. And nothing has changed since then, except my hair. In that video, they're kind of cool and short and wide. Now they're more like girly. Who needs to know it? Anyways, let's watch this little piece and jump right back. Immersion. Immersion. Okay, I'm gonna spell it for you. Immersion. So let me demonstrate it to you. Let's say this is your mind. Clean and white, empty. Innocent and white, as the soul of a Snow White. And let's say you want to learn English. For the sake of experiment, let's imagine that this is a knowledge.
It is an onion. All the beautiful wisdom of English language is here.
So what usually happens? We take a little drop of knowledge. Let's say we learn a new word. And we drop a little of knowledge on our mind. And then we learn a new word and we drop a little of knowledge to our mind. We saw a movie and we stopped and listened to a word. And we got a new drop of knowledge. And then we forgot about that for 2 weeks. But after 2 weeks, we're like, no, I'm learning English. So you download an app and you even passed 2 lessons. So let's add 2 more drops of knowledge. And then you watch a YouTube class and you add 2 more drops of knowledge. So let's see, how much English do we know? So that's how our mind looks.
Ooh.
Do we know English?
No.
Score. So if we want to learn fast and effectively, we gotta use the principle of immersion.
Done.
We get our mind and we dive in English. And look what happens.
I know everything. I know present perfect, past continuous, present simple. I know all the grammar terms.
So to learn English, you gotta dive in English. Meaning you have to surround yourself with as many English sources as possible. Your phone should be in English. Your laptop should be in English. Your books should be in English. You should listen to English music and look at the lyrics. Or download English podcasts. When you're waking up, you gotta read news in English. Whenever you decide to go and watch a movie, it should be in English. You have to find an online friend on Skype and chat with him or her in English. So you gotta maximize all the sources of the information that you consume and try to make it all in English.
In English, everything in English.
So as I said before, immerse yourself into English language as much as you can. Your phone, your laptop, your social media. Do you have your favorite social media influencer that speaks the language that you're learning? Find one. It will help you. Find your podcast. Find your favorite sitcom. Immerse. I was immersing. And when immersing, try incorporating all four skills: writing, reading, listening, and speaking. Why am I saying this? It's a rhetorical question. I kind of acknowledge that, and right now I'm in the process of learning Greek language because I'm living in the Greek-speaking country, and I've realized that I haven't written a word in Greek, right? So right before this video, I sat down and I made myself to write a word in Greek, and it was magic. It's like just your brain started working differently a little bit. Like, oh, I'm not only trying to speak it, I listen to it, I read it, and I can write it. Ooh. Tip number 5, learn phrases, not words. I know it's so easy to kind of get into this 1 word a day habit. It's a cool habit, but just that habit won't get you far. You need to learn phrases because chances are, if you learn just the word, when you need to use it, you'll be lost not knowing how to apply it correctly. I recommend learning phrases and to be learning them in the context. And I believe it being so powerful, and I see it being so powerful when you're in the situation saying again and again the same words. That's actually why in Lola Speak app, in our mobile app, one of the main principles is to give you the situation and the context. So you would learn material, you would learn phrases, knowing when to apply them and living this real life experience. So tip number 6, practice regularly, but don't overdo it. It's easier said than done because sometimes we get into the learning process and we want to increase the amount of material. But we are human beings. We need breaks. We need to find our own pace, the pace that's sustainable, meaning that you could do more days doing bit by bit rather than doing everything in one day. Like, I would rather recommend you opening your learning, whatever app, I think about app all the time, but whatever it is, Portal, YouTube, Better, all of that actually, and doing a little bit every day rather than sit down once in 2 weeks and do like 2 hours. And by the way, if you ever feel stuck and you don't feel like doing anything, go back to the point number 1, know your why, and read your why. Like, I want to learn English because, read it out loud. And if you're still not there, well, chances are you don't need it. But I know you do, otherwise you would have stopped this video already, but you're still there. So, point number 7, use technology. Oh my God, we live in the world of technologies. Like, we have so much. Make the use out of your goddamn smartphone. That's not a smartphone, that's the palm of my hand. But let's imagine this is a smartphone here. By saying that, I want to encourage you to jump into the language without being afraid of speaking it. So if I need to say a phrase in Greek, which I'm learning, and I don't need all the words, I still would open and would translate the whole phrase and try to pronounce it. And maybe I will fall flat on my face. Who knows? Maybe someone will understand me, and that's great. But I try. Educational apps, Google Translate, dictionaries, special tools, text-to-speech, and other things will help you on your journey. And actually, they will get you going because you will create your kind of routine with the language. And if you're interested on this subject, let me know in comments, and I will make a video on what kind of technologies I'm using on my English learning and English speaking journey nowadays. Tip number 8, and it's my personal biggest, go for it. Practice pronunciation and do some accent training. There's no secret. My blog, by the way, if you're not familiar, is named By Accent. Goodbye, accent. And my biggest progress happened when I dove into phonetics, the correct pronunciation, the sounds of American English. That gave me so much progress with English in general. And this tip is overlooked because people think, well, I will learn some words and then I would say them the way I think I need to say them, and then that happens because you're asking for water instead of water. And I'm drinking water. Whatever it is. And I'm happy to share more of my knowledge and my experience on that. That's partially why I created this channel, and that's why we created Lola Speak app, where we create tools that will help you to practice speaking English and improving your pronunciation. Side note, it's not an ad, except it is, because I like what I'm doing. That's why I'm telling you about this. That's why I'm creating it. All right, back to the tips. Tip number 9, find a study method that works for you. And all of us, we are different. And all of us, we approach learning differently. Some of us, visual learners. Others maybe prefer listening more. That doesn't mean that you have to skip all the other 3 things: reading, writing, and what was the 4th? Speaking. Speaking is important. But experiment and find your own personal things. Don't be afraid to switch things. Like if you've tried something, I don't wanna call names, but if you tried a resource, you didn't like the result, it's okay. It doesn't mean that you're lazy. It's just, maybe you're lazy, but most likely it's just not your thing. You need to find an approach that works for you, that will keep you coming back to it, you know? Like back again and again, like you can't wait. And we can speak about methods more on this channel, but to give you an example, I found that the best way for me to incorporate a new word is to find an experience in my life, for example, that I could have used this word already, but I didn't because I didn't know it. So I would sit down and think about that and kind of incorporate this word into my past. And this is a technique that I kind of came up with. And things like that, that will create your learning toolkit that you will use on your journey. And the last, but not the least, it's tip number 10. Make mistakes and love them. Of course, I don't mean to make it on purpose, but don't be afraid of making mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, like all the time, till this day. I'm curious how many mistakes I've made recording this video. And it's okay, because nobody's perfect. Trust me, you can find country leaders, professional broadcast speakers, and you could find mistakes in their speech. Some of us, we make more mistakes. Others make less mistakes, but it's 100% okay. So if you're trying to be perfect, you're setting yourself up for a failure. The idea that I want you to embrace, trying and making mistake is better than not trying at all and not even opening your mouth when you have an opportunity to speak. With my language blog with Russian speakers, we even created an additional page on making mistakes, and every Sunday we would share funny stories on how we were trying to approach language and we would make a mistake and what a hilarious situation it created. If you don't speak Russian, it's okay, but you can start collecting your own stories in your native language, how you and maybe some of your friends were trying to speak English and made a funny mistake. So you can just laugh at that and prove the point that we all make mistakes and that's all right, and let's embrace them and love them. Come here, my mistakes. Loving you. Okay, let's recap all the tips that we've talked about today. First of all, find your why and set clear goals. Number 2, enter through your passion. Find things that you love and approach learning process through these informational sources. Number 3, immerse yourself in language. Try to switching your devices, finding the sources to consume information on a daily basis using English language. And try all 4 skills: speaking, writing, reading, and listening. Number 5, try to learn phrases and learn them in the context instead of learning the separate words. Number 6, practice regularly, but don't overdo it. And if you ever feel discouraged, go back to point number 1. Why are you doing it? Why do you need to know English? Number 7, use technology. Find the apps that work for you and create a toolkit that will help you to stay on your English learning journey. Number 8, don't forget to practice pronunciation and work on your accent, improving your phonetics knowledge of the language. Not only the letters, the sounds. The sounds are the key. We'll talk about that later. Number 9, find a study method that works for you. Don't forget that you are a unicorn. You're special. You're different from others. So don't try to be like others. Even watching this video, don't try to be like me. Like, listen to what Lola said, listen to what Gerald said, listen to what other people said, and try things that resonate with you and forget about the other things. And number 10, make mistakes and make making mistakes okay with yourself and with others. And if anyone will laugh at you, I mean, who will laugh? Nobody will laugh at you, come on. And remember, people are nice. When you're trying to speak a foreign language to a native speaker, people will try to help you. They are on your side. They're here with you, like, let's do it together. So I wish you luck and patience on your English learning journey, and I'm looking forward for your questions and comments and suggestions for the next videos for this channel. And I recommend you to check out our Lola Speak app, where we created tools to help you overcome your language barrier and finally start speaking English. So leave a comment, subscribe, don't forget to like this video. Okay, see you later. Alligator, that was the alligator.